Hello and welcome to today's video. This is my June wrap-up video. These are my June books. And I did actually do a June TBR pile video, so I will link that up above just in case you want to see it first. But in today's video we're going to be going over all the books that I actually got around to reading in June. So yeah, let's just get into it, I guess. So I'm going to start with a book that I haven't actually managed to finish. This is Elantris, and as I'm filming this it is the last day of June. I've only got about 4 hours, so I'm probably not going to finish it. I'm like a quarter of the way in, but I'm just going to mention it just because I have started reading it. So not really going to say anything, but I have started reading this one and unfortunately I've not managed to finish it. So then for the rest of this video I'm actually going to go backwards and talk about my most recent read first and then work my way back to the start of the month. There's a few reasons I want to do this. The main reason for this is some of my ratings for books earlier on in a series, I don't know if they still hold up. So I kind of want to work it backwards and just explain myself a little bit. So I'm just opening up my Goodreads so I can actually give you my ratings. So my last finished book was The Last Battle. This is a Chronicles of Narnia book and this is actually book 7. And I gave this 1 star. I had quite a lot of problems with this one. And to be honest, reading this one last, because it's the last book, it definitely really made me rethink the ratings I'd given the previous books in the series and if I'd overlooked stuff I should not have overlooked. So I gave this 1 star. There were things in this book that I depicted as racism, sexism, religious discrimination, quite a lot of problems with it, and here's the problem is the story had potential. Like, it could have been an amazing book, but there was just too much that can't be ignored. So for that reason I gave it 1 star. I read the entire, well, reread the entire Chronicles of Narnia, and I read these in the chronological order to them. So starting with The Magician's Nephew, ending with The Last Battle. I'm going to tell you my ratings and give like a quick 1-sentence review of them, like in order. But essentially I don't know if these ratings still hold up. Like, I wasn't tabbing them, I wasn't making note, and I'm very worried that a lot of the things that I read and brushed off and read and hoped it was an old way of speaking or just saw as being a small misjudgment that had been put into the book essentially wasn't actually that, and these potentially all should have received lower reviews than I gave them essentially. So let's just go through them. So I read The Magician's Nephew first and I gave this one 3 stars. I can remember enjoying the story. I can also remember thinking that it was a little bit sexist. I can't remember a lot of it. The Magician's Nephew is the first chronological book of the series and we see the world Narnia begin. Book 2 is The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. I probably don't need to give an explanation on this one. It is now a well-beloved movie and it is the story of 4 siblings who discover Narnia through a wardrobe. And I gave this 4 stars. This was the most nostalgic book for me. I feel like I read this one multiple times when younger and I did enjoy it, but again I can't remember if there was stuff I overlooked. Then I read The Horse and His Boy. This was an interesting one. I think this is the one where I started to notice things in it, and yeah, I'm just not impressed with it basically, but at the time I did give it 3 stars. Then Prince Caspian I gave 4 stars. I really enjoyed the story, but I feel like my main problems with that actual story was it didn't feel flushed out, it didn't feel finished, and this is why I only got 4 stars. And I'm also obviously not the intended audience for this series of books, so there is that as well. But to be honest, I'm feeling a bit meh about this series now that I've come to the end of them, in case you can't tell. After that I read The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. Yeah, so this one we see the 2 younger siblings from The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe and their cousin go to Narnia and they're going on an adventure, and it's interesting, it's good, and I ended up giving it 3 stars. So yeah, then there was the Silver Chair, which is this one. This is the 6th book in the series, and I can remember really enjoying this one, but again, not that much. I feel like this one, even I was umming and ahhing between 2 and 3 stars. I did go 3 stars in the end. And I think the problem is with rereading a series like this, there was so much nostalgia, there was so many like childhood memories linked on, that I was excusing too much stuff essentially. And then you've already heard my opinions of the last book in the series, so I will leave it like that. I'm disappointed in this. I was expecting a lot more, and I think okay. So my camera died and I've now lost all natural light that I had, so I do apologise if the quality has suddenly gone down quite a lot between the last clip and this one. I will attempt to fix it whilst editing, but definitely not a strong point, so we'll see. Apologies if the quality is considerably changed. But yeah, what I was trying to say is I think the main problem I had with the Narnia books was that they had so much nostalgia attached to them that I don't feel like I was critical enough whilst reading them. It took one of them to be extremely bad for me to really look at them that way and reconsider. So yeah, that unfortunately is completely my fault, and I don't know how I would objectively rate them, but those were my ratings as I read them. So moving on to the next one, I actually read this book after the first Narnia one. Again, we're working backwards. I don't know why I did it like this, to be honest, because I could have just done it a different way. This is more confusing than it needs to be. But yeah, so I read this book here, The 4 Quartets by T.S. Eliot. It is just a little book of poetry and I really enjoyed this. I gave it 3 stars, which I know might not sound like I really enjoyed it, but I really haven't read a lot of poetry. This is probably only 5th, maybe 6th poetry books that I've ever read. So I don't really feel like my ability to rate them is very good yet. And I felt like 3 stars was quite solid. Then in June, I also finished off the Clockwork Angel. This is part of a reread I'm doing of all of the Cassandra Clare books. This is the first book in the Infernal Devices series. I'm doing a massive reread of all the Cassandra Clare books that I read when I was younger, in the hopes of catching up to the ones that are currently being released and kind of being a part of the Shadowhunter world again, because I really loved them when I was younger, so I want to kind of reread the ones I don't really remember and then catch up with some of the more up-to-date ones, so that's just part of that. And I gave this one 4 stars in the end, and I would definitely stand by that. It was a pretty good book, so yeah, I'm excited to keep continuing on my reread. And then I left the most exciting till last. The very first book that I read for June was Heartstopper Volume 4. This was, without a doubt, a 5-star book. I only discovered the Heartstopper volumes this year and Alice Osman this year, and I really love them. This was an amazing book and I really enjoyed it. Because it's not the first book in the series, I'm not going to say too much about it. The first book in the series is about Nick and Charlie. Charlie is gay. Nick and Charlie get put in the same form group at school and they develop a friendship and things move on from there. So that was the first book, and then this book is the 4th volume of that essentially, so I don't want to give anything away, but it is really, really good and I can't wait for the last one to come out. What I would say is that Alice Osman has an amazing trigger warnings and content warnings section on her website for all of her books, so check that out first and make sure that you are in the correct space to read this in. So yes, that is all of the books that I read in June. It was a pretty good reading month for me. I would have liked it to be better because I did block out quite a bit of time for reading, but unfortunately when it came to that time I just wasn't in the mood to read, which I mean isn't great, but it happens, and I still did a good chunk of reading, so I'm very happy with it. And I'm really excited to get onto July's books. I have made a July TBR video. I will leave it up somewhere here if you are interested. and I'm really excited to start those. July starts tomorrow. Obviously I'll be continuing on with Elantris to start off with, but I've already got like a big pile of books and extra books and they're all ready to go, and I'm feeling quite positive about my reading month of July. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed the video. Do give it a like if you liked it. Subscribe down below if you would like to see more. I do have a few more book videos planned in the next couple of weeks, so there will be a lot more book content coming, and I'll see you next time. Bye.